Did you take your aspirin? Did you get your cup of coffee? Maybe fry up some eggs, some bacon.
Get that grease to help soothe the aching stomach.
Saturday morning. Get over that Friday night hangover. Hope you got lucky. If you did, hope she found her underwear and she's out the door, because now it's time for your weekend hangover cure. Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition.
Now, if you're one of our female audience out there, maybe he got his underwear and got the hell out the door.
Oh, listen to Dave. Dave always so politically correct, so balanced, looking at both sides.
That's right. We have to keep our female audience happy as well.
Maybe we should get Mike Pereira in here.
Happy.
Maybe we should get Mike Pereira and his tongue in here.
God help us.
If you didn't know about that, check out the regular Sports Frenzy Sports Edition from a couple days ago. As we tape here on the 16th of November, this, of course, hits, as always, Saturday morning, this time November the 19th of 2022. He's a conquistador, Dave Height.
He's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
And as always, we start off with music, rock and roll. Lots of cover songs to discuss this week, of course, as we get towards the end of the year.
Would you say there were a plethora of cover songs?
Yes, I would say there is a plethora of cover and a paucity of new material. So there you go, kids. Yes, we just both ate a thesaurus for dinner tonight.
You'll get that. We do have some intelligent phrases in our vocabulary. They don't always come through, but when they do, we make them count.
In between the F-bombs and the sexual innuendo. We can drop a pithy comment here and there.
We can parse a phrase.
So first and foremost here, one of the last big releases of 2022. Again, we get into the Thanksgiving, Christmas season. New music tends to dry up a little bit as the record labels like to push out Christmas albums left and right.
Yep, the same old tired songs by different groups with different twists that usually don't match up to the classic renditions.
How many different people have sung Jingle Bells? Think about that. You know?
White Christmas.
Yeah.
The tried and true.
How many Christmas albums does Mariah Carey have? For the love of God.
How many years has she been singing? There you go.
We do have a covers album, not Christmas covers, but the boss, Bruce Springsteen, covering old R&B and soul standards from the 60s to 70s, even a little bit into the 80s.
Touching a little bit.
With Only the Strong Survive.
15 songs in this endeavor.
I have to admit, this is a tough album for me to review because, number one, you've got one guy, one artist, one performer doing all these different cover songs. So they all kind of tend for me to blend in together almost as one.
Yeah, his vocal range is limited. We all know that. And there are some songs where his vocal stylings work very well with the songs, and others where it doesn't quite work.
Right. And I don't want to go through song by song. I honestly can't even pick out much in terms of the ones I really liked versus the ones I didn't. Again, to me, it was like 45, 50 minutes of almost the same stuff. Back to back to, and I'm not trying to make that sound completely negative. It's just, again, number one, you've got to be in the mood for it from one person. If it was all the original songs, like on a compilation of 15 tracks, like Dave said, by the original artist. So if we get Someday We'll Be Together by the Supremes is on there, and Night Shift by the Commodores is on there, then this could be an unbelievable album.
Right.
But for all 15 songs to be done by one person, in this case, Bruce Springsteen, it is just a little bit repetitive and mundane to me.
Yeah, it's very monotone throughout. A number of the songs, like we said, his vocal range does not meet what needs to be done for the song.
Right. Sometimes the background singers get a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
Lots of
they
strings.
They kind of push it up a little too much.
Lots of horns.
Yeah.
A little bit of wah-wah guitar in there every once in a while. And again, I don't know how to couch this review.
It's not horrible.
Right. I don't want to make it sound overly
decent.
negative. I give him credit for his passion.
It's one
for the
more
attempt.
Yeah, it's one more that you would have on in the background of a get together, where it's not the focal point, it's just the white noise behind you, and you might pick up a song here or there as a standout that you might wind up kind of listening to.
And even though Dave and I know our classic rock all the way back through the 70s into the 60s, and we do know the Commodores, we've talked about Night Shift previously.
Yep.
On the weekend edition, most of these songs, I do not know the originals. I've
heard about half of them, but I couldn't tell you everyone who's done them.
Right. Again, the standouts are Night Shift by the Commodores, Someday We'll Be Together by the Supremes. But
What Becomes of the Brokenhearted?
Yeah, and supposedly the song that really jump-started the boss on this was Do I Love You? Indeed I Do. Supposedly this was the minor hit that he uncovered, that he wanted to redo and bring it to a wider audience, and then that got the whole project really going in the direction he wanted it to go.
Yeah, that was okay.
I hate to, again, I appreciate the ambition. I appreciate the thought behind the project, but in the end, I can't give it more than 1.5 frenzies. I just can't.
I went 2. I kind of, like I said, I enjoyed it for being more of a background. And most of what I was listening to it when I was playing GT7.
Really? I don't know if this would be a good background soundtrack for GT7.
I was listening to it. It was just the noise instead of some of the crappy music instrumentals that they have playing.
Yeah.
So it was just enough there.
Yeah, anything, to be able to focus on. Anything is better than video game music nowadays, because it's all hip hop, rap, weird instrumental stuff. So I can understand that. But I would just think with a racing game, I'd want a little more, up-tempo driving.
With the little races I was doing, it worked well.
And again, I almost feel guilty for just giving it a low rating, but it just is not an album I will listen to again, And I have almost all of Bruce Springsteen's albums, and I had this on pre-order from Amazon.
You canceled it?
I canceled it.
There you go. That's fine.
It just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, it's not one to go out of your way for.
Yeah, it's not offensively bad. Again, it's just it's a problem I have with cover albums in general too. By the way, is that a cover
Straight
album
up covers, it gets a little old.
I kind of like it more when they do the different bands doing different covers, kind of a tribute compilation. They did one with Led Zeppelin called Encomium that was fantastic. We had Stone Temple Pilots, and you had Hootie and the Blowfish.
Yeah, but it was different bands.
Right. The tempos shifted, changed. The styles shifted and changed. We're here again. It's all Bruce Springsteen for 15 songs.
Yeah, 50 minutes of pretty much the same monotone as we mentioned.
Yep. More cover songs for you. Ugly Kid Joe doing the classic Kinks song Lola. I expected more from this. I thought we'd get a little bit more of an edge, a little bit more raunch with this.
Thank you.
And this just came off again, almost like Springsteen is a very generic run through of the song.
Yeah, I expected more of the original by the Kinks had more of an edge and hit harder. This was just kind of a
it's a run paint by numbers song almost.
It's a generic rendition of Lola. They didn't try and put their own stamp on it. This is a song that there are points where it has to hit and have that little drive behind it. And Ugly Kid Joe did not meet that with this one.
No. And I will say this. I didn't just search out the song. I found the album, the new album. I believe it's called Rad Wings of Destiny. And I popped on Lola halfway through and then let it spill over. I still think there's a chance. Again, we're getting into the dusty, bleak month of December and January with little music involved. I think down the road we might have to actually review this album because we've already talked about a couple of the songs that were really good.
Yeah, we enjoyed a couple
and I heard a couple more that were pretty good. So this album as a whole might actually be worth our time.
Yeah.
But this cover of Lola is not.
No, this was a 1.5.
Agreed. 1.5 frenzies for Lola. But we're not done with covers yet.
No, because we have
Cold Sweat, the classic James Brown song redone for the deluxe expanded edition of Scarecrow from John Cougar Mellencamp. Now, I will say this. Compared to Bruce Springsteen, compared to Lola from Ugly Kid Joe, you cannot say John Mellencamp didn't put something into this. He's trying to do his best James Brown.
He tried. He put some stank
There's
on
the
this
horns,
one.
the female vocalist, the horns.
Out there. I give him credit for making the effort on it.
Yeah. And I think we're going the same place on this.
It's not great. It's not his style. And it was well and deserved to be left off. And it should not have been released, period.
Ooh, that's a little harsh. That's a little harsh. I thought I agreed with you up to that point.
Yeah, it just, no.
For an expanded edition lost track.
It could have stayed lost for me.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I actually kind of thought it was okay. I was going to give it 2.5 frenzies.
No, I was a 1.5 for me.
Okay. Now we move on, not to a remake, but another lost track coming out on a Beach Boys upcoming expanded edition release. A very somber anti-war song called Carry Me Home, which I warned Dave was not going to sound like the cheery, happy Beach Boys that we all know and love.
And that's fine. I like something different from bands. But this is one I don't think, for me, I didn't quite care for it. It wouldn't have mattered who did this one. It just was not that great of a song.
Well, it's almost a funeral dirge. I mean, it's so depressing. I agree. It's not only for the Beach Boys. I don't think nobody could have pulled this off.
No.
It's just such a dark, depressing song.
Yeah, it's so dirgy.
Yep. I can only give it 1. I give it 1 frenzy.
That's exactly what I gave it.
Yeah. Now you want to talk about a song you said with Cold Sweat. This one would have been better off staying shelved.
There's no reason this should have been brought out.
In this, in terms of where it fits in to the Beach Boys legacy, it doesn't. It does. It's a square peg in a round hole. It's not them. I don't care. Sorry about the well-intentioned feelings and
Yeah.
emotions behind the song.
It's
It's just
just
not
not-
the Beach Boys.
It's just not a good song, period.
So finally, we have one new song, the third and final bonus track from the money-grabbing Wolfgang Van Halen, who I love, but
Should have been one of the first 3 on a new album.
this is the one that I had not heard before. I had heard Talk and Walk before. I had heard As Long As You're Not You before, live versions.
Yeah.
This one, Goodbye, I had not heard before. This one, to me, out of what we've heard from the first album and now the songs on the expanded edition, is probably the weakest of them all.
Agreed.
It's still not awful. It's still not terrible, but
it's not what he's done.
No, it doesn't have the anger, the fire, the feeling, the passion behind it. It almost sounds like a generic kind of poppy ballad that if Mammoth could go back in the DeLorean, go back to the 80s, this maybe would have been a Mammoth
probably
hit.
Would have
no
been,
pun intended.
It would have gone to the top of the charts.
Right. But in this day and age, when we're looking for something a little more edgy or a little bit harder, doesn't quite work for me. So I give Goodbye 2 frenzies.
I was a little kinder with 2.5.
Okay. So there you go, kids. That is it for our music reviews for the week. I'm sorry there wasn't really much that we could recommend for you. I marginally liked Cold Sweat. Dave marginally liked Goodbye.
So there you go. It happens. Now we've just saved you over an hour of your life.
Go back and listen to some classic rock. Listen to some old Van Halen. Dig out some old Skinner. Just listen to something.
Pick up a book to read. Do not waste over an hour of your life with this batch that we have for you.
Hence, the librarian makes his statement for the week.
That's right.
The new Godsmack album, we have a title now. Lighting Up the Sky. Very cool cover. If you have not seen it, check it out online.
You know a review will be coming for that at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure we're looking at February, March 2023 when they firm up a release date. Dave and I next week will review the second single from Lighting Up the Sky. This one is called You and I've already listened to it a couple times. Much more impressed with this one than I was with Surrender. Much more impressed.
We do have an album for next week.
Of course. The band that you all love to hate, but Dave and I love. Although we think there are more closet Nickelback fans out there.
Because otherwise, why would it get so much airplay, so many requests, good
sell
sales?
So many albums. The new Nickelback album next week here for you on Sports Frenzy 2.0.
Get rolling.
We've heard 2 songs so far. One very good, one kind of eh. But you know, they're going to throw out that second single, that poppy crap for the girls. The whole retrospective, let me look back at my life and show that I'm a sensitive guy. So
no, you're not.
Dig me.
You're the one that's swinging from the ceilings.
Lock your pants around your feet. Deen it. Yeah, Mr. Sensitivity.
Yep.
Looking forward to that next week, of course. We will start delving into, yes, dare I say it, Christmas music. Oh! But next week we'll have a review of a Christmas song from The Offspring. So that could be interesting.
That could really be interesting. Still waiting for Offspring tour to come within our vicinity.
Yeah, one of those bands that we have never got to see.
That is a bucket list band, and the boys are all in.
Yep, definitely a band that we have to see at least once. Bucket list band for sure. Now, To wrap up the music segment here, time to rip on one of our easy, typical targets, but for some reason, nobody listens to us when we talk about the Bruce Springsteen debacle. Blink 182 had this recently happen. And now you've done it, Ticketmaster.
Now you've pissed everybody off.
You've pissed off Taylor Swift fans.
Yep.
There is one group in the music world you don't want to piss off. It's Taylor Swift fans. And you've gone and done it.
You done effed up in the worst possible way.
Tickets for Taylor Swift's tour of the United States went on sale yesterday morning as we tape. Would have been Tuesday the 15th. Site crashes.
Boom goes Ticketmaster.
Massive delays. People stuck in queues without moving forward in them.
Tween girls bawling their eyes out because they can't get their tickets.
And God help me for saying this. For once in my life, I give kudos and applaud Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez because she came out after this happened and said, we've known about this for decades. Live Nation and Ticketmaster should have never been allowed to merge. It's a monopoly that we need to break up. For once, she speaks like a sane person.
For once.
Saying what we have been saying for
because
decades.
She got hosed on getting her Taylor Swift tickets.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that's what it had to be. Ticketmaster needs to go away. Live Nation needs to go away.
The frickin' fees that they charge are ridiculous.
Live Nation should not be allowed to own venues and turn around and sell the tickets for said venues. That is called a vertical monopoly. That is illegal and should never have been allowed to take place. Live Nation should be forced to either divest their interest in Ticketmaster or divest their interest in each and every venue they own, including one of our favorites, the Ruoff Home Mortgage Center in Noblesville, Indiana.
Well stated. Yeah, it's an absolute crap fest that this company, one company under the two names, put concert goers through. The amount that they're charging for tickets to begin with, their tiered pricing plans that they've just recently started, the stupid-ass astronomical fees they charge, it's absolutely insane.
Will we finally get an end to Ticketmaster and Live Nation? One can only hope.
Not anytime soon.
That's going to wrap up segment one here on the weekend edition. Coming up next, movies. Dave has got a surprise story time review for us, kids.
I do. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised, Maestro.
I have got a review of Don't Worry, Darling, and an obscenely violent horror movie that Dave and his boys and I were talking about recently as we were getting ready for our Judas Priest concert a few weeks back. So, definitely want to stay tuned for segment two. Very interesting, intriguing movie reviews coming up. We'll be right back. Stuck in a no-win situation? Wife being held captive while your feet bleed? Take a second to decompress. Pull out your smartphone and listen to Sports Frenzy 2.0 on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, and CastBox. And don't forget to check out their Facebook page. The Maestro and the Conquistador will take your mind off your dire predicament and give you the best non-PC sports commentary you'll find anywhere. And once you compose your exit strategy, and take down some German terrorists, you'll want to yell, "Yippee-ki-yay, Sports Frenzy 2.0!"
All right, kids, it's time to fire up your popcorn makers. Get the candy out for the movie segment of Sports Frenzy 2.0 here, recording November 16th, 2022, dropping Saturday morning, November 19th on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Amazon, Audible, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher! I'm the Conquistador, Dave Height.
I'm the maestro, Kevin Crane. Do you really think popcorn and candy is appropriate hangover food?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take your word for it. I usually just like to sleep all the way through.
Get the candy for the sugar rush. The popcorn kind of helps absorb the last
I
remnants.
like the grease. I've always been a grease guy. I need the eggs and the bacon.
There you go.
All right. So Dave and I are going to be diverging here on our reviews a little bit this week. I will start off because I have the quote-unquote
new movie
feature review. I watched Don't Worry, Darling.
Couldn't pull the trigger.
Of course, recently in the theaters, now on HBO Max. The mysterious Olivia Wilde movie that garnered a lot of buzz, had a big opening weekend, then kind of fizzled out because generally reviews from critics and people who saw the movie was, what was that? Why did I waste an hour and a half of my life on that? Not that bad. It's not that bad. It's intriguing, I will say that. We get Florence Pugh. Love me some Florence Pugh.
She's pretty.
She's pretty. And Harry Styles in this seemingly idyllic environment that harkens back to the 1950s. The Victory Project seems like it's out in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nowhere. Is it in Area 51? Is it in a nuclear test site? It's one of those.
Is it in a foreign country?
Type of bleak areas. And of course, there's something going on. Everything seems too perfect, from the way the men leave in the morning to go to work and all get in a line and
all
follow.
in unison.
All in unison, all the way through to one specific destination. Big mound of dirt with a structure on the top of it. And of course, Florence Pugh and one of the other housewives, because again, this is supposed to be the idyllic 1940s, 1950s type setting where they sit at home and they clean and they watch old school TVs and drink martinis and watch the kids and wait for their husbands by the door when they come home, having dinner prepared thoroughly every night.
And a highball for them.
Yeah, a little bit of sex, too. A little bit of sex. Harry Styles has got that Mike Pereira tongue at one point. Good for him. Good for Florence. Good for Florence. Feel bad for the dishes, though, knocking the dishes off the table. A little bit extreme there. But, again,
dessert for dinner.
Something insidious is going on. So it harkens to The Matrix in a way. The problem I had with it was, if you're going to try to pull off this type of movie where you have one reality and one of the characters is broken through and figured out something's going on, you need to spend more time on the other side to show us what's going on, causing the rift, causing the parallel realities. I'm trying not to spoil things for you kids.
What is it that drew their attention to what was going on?
Yeah, I don't want to spoil things for you. So I'm being intentionally vague. But they don't focus enough on what happens on the other side. It's all more about this whole idyllic 40s and 50s community called Victory Project. And what happens if you dare to question what's going on. Chris Pine plays the leader, this charismatic, overbearing leader of the community.
Oh,
And
the cult leader?
Basically, yes. Basically, yes. That's a good way to look at him. He's like
Jim Jones and David Koresh all rolled into one.
Yeah. No Kool-Aid. Like I said, they're drinking martinis. They're not drinking Kool-Aid, but you get an ambiguous ending. I would have liked a little more clarity on once Florence Pugh's character solves the mystery as to what's going on and actually
to find out why.
Yeah, I needed more detail. I needed more detail on the other side. Again, I've already told you, it's similar to The Matrix. So think of it like that. And think of it
the
not the shiny, happy
The Matrix meets the Truman Show.
Another good analogy. Very good. Yes. Truman Show was actually the first movie that popped into my head, but this turns even darker than the Truman Show. Ambition, not very well executed, well acted, but to what point? So I will give Don't Worry, Darling 2 frenzies. Again, not a waste of time, but
not fulfilling at the same time.
There you go. Yes. Well, Florence Pugh got fulfilled by Harry Styles. Don't Worry, Darling did not fulfill me. So I cannot recommend it. Again, not a huge waste of time. It's intriguing. It's not awful. It has moments. And again, it's well acted. But the payoff doesn't really justify the time you spend leading up to that.
All right. There you go. All right. So this past Monday at late afternoon, working from home, finished up, go into the family room, and my youngest, Nick, flipping through Netflix, trying to find something to watch. Going through the movies, what's on there? And I'm like, all right, right there. That's one I think you will truly enjoy. It's got a great cast. You've seen some of them before. You've got Lee Marvin, Charles Bronson, Jim Brown, Telly Savalas, George Kennedy, Ernest Borgnine. It's the classic The Dirty Dozen. So we start watching it before my wife gets home and before dinner and all. So we get about an hour into it before we stop it and take a break for it. And then we go back and finish it off after dinner. Classic Dirty Dozen. Army majors tasked with take these 12 individuals who are either going to be hanged or into forced hard labor for their various crimes in the Army, parachute in behind enemy lines, and try and wipe out the big Nazi generals and leaders. What could go wrong? It's entertaining. It's funny. It's dramatic. It's a classic. And yes, Nick absolutely loved it.
That was what I was going to ask you, was how did the younger generation?
Oh, he flippin' loved it. And so now he's looking up. He wanted to try and get a hold of Death. He likes Charles Bronson from Magnificent Seven and The Great Escape. So Nick is my protege when it comes to watching movies and recognizing the different actors and what they've been in. He knows voices like nobody. So, yeah, he's ready to delve into more of the Lee Marvin films, especially the war ones. So you may
Point
have some
Blank.
more. Point Blank
Point
is a
Blank.
good one. So you may have some more story times from Nick and I coming down the line. But it's a classic. It's a solid 3. Oh, I forgot Donald Sutherland's in it too.
Arguably the greatest actor never to be nominated for an Academy Award.
Yep.
And I've got more on that. I've got more on that later too.
Yeah, because Sutherland was MASH and
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Was it Clute?
Yep. He was in Clute with Jane Fonda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just so much.
Eye of the Needle.
Yeah.
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 Yep. Sutherland has done so much.
And
by the way,
I
might have a story time. You just might have given me a story time idea because I did a little ill-advised shopping over the weekend for myself. You know, bad Kev. Stop spending money,
You went
Kev.
Black Friday DVD shopping, didn't you?
A little bit. But I've been wanting to get my hands on Donald Sutherland in Invasion of the Body Snatchers for years. God. And I got the Blu-ray of it at a website for $7.
Nice.
So that's coming in the mail. So I might have to fire that up and watch that. So that might bring up a Donald Sutherland story time.
There you go. And don't forget his cameo in Animal House.
Yes, of course. But yeah, I just love Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
It's so good.
Yep.
All right.
So
there's a number of films for you to check out based off of this one, story time.
And they're loopholes that we create. And if you don't like it,
too bad.
It's our podcast.
Bye-bye.
It's our podcast.
We can do what we want.
When we do story time, it's a very loose interpretation of,
where we're going to go. What rabbit hole shall we delve into?
Yes. Now, we're going to stick with Dave's boys. As he mentioned, his youngest is his new protege when it comes to movie knowledge. Now, he and I and Nick and Connor, his oldest, all went to see Judas Priest a couple weeks ago. Now, I'm turning this into a story time, but it's really not because it's a more recent movie that I'd never seen before. Therefore, ergo, I don't need the loophole. But anyway.
He digresses.
We were talking about horror movies as we were finishing up dinner before we went to see the Judas Priest concert.
Yep.
And one of the movies that we talked about was this recent movie that was in the theaters called Terrifier 2. Which was supposedly so graphic, so disgusting, that they had to go back to the old 70s marketing ploy where they were basically telling you, you can't go to this movie if you have a heart condition or you have a weak stomach.
Yeah.
Reports of people
getting sick in the aisles,
themselves, throwing up,
having heart attacks.
I happened to, last night, I had caught up on all my assignments for the week here for Sports Frenzy. I'd watched my shows. I'd finished up Don't Worry, Darling. So I had a couple hours. Wanted to watch something while I was eating dinner. Boy, that was a bad choice. Freevee, of course, the offshoot from Amazon, has the first Terrifier free with ads. So I said, all right, I'll subject myself to this. Let's see if it's any good. It's an hour and a half. I'm kind of like drawn to this kind of stuff. Back in the day, I was, one of those guys that rented Faces of Death.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Some of the stuff you regret watching, you wish you'd never watched it, like Last House on the Left. I spit on your grave. Stuff that you kind of were drawn to once, and you realize
It's
never
a
should
one
have,
and done.
never
And
should have
why
gone
did I
there.
subject myself to this?
Never should have opened that door.
Forever unclean.
Yeah, I won't say the first Terrifier goes that far, but it tries to. It tries to. This is going to be a weird review for me because in one way I admire it, and in one way I am repulsed by it.
You sat through every disgusting second of it. Twice.
Not twice. No. No, I wouldn't watch it again. I'll probably watch the second one when it comes out, but I won't watch the first one again. Now, number one, it's obviously low budget. It takes place in one building for the most part.
Yeah.
And you got women running up and down the stairs, and Exterminator plays a part in it. So, of course, the building's locked up for the most part because he's trying to put off bug bombs. Again, I'm not going to tell you the whole plot of it, what plot there is, but it revolves around this new creepy killer we've got called Art the Clown.
Oh, God.
And it's Halloween night, of course. These two young ladies are out for Halloween, and they happen to stumble across Art the Clown. And Art the Clown is just obviously out to kill people. There's no explanation given why he is the way he is.
He just is.
He is just a force of bloody, brutal violence. And so we get a lot of graphic deaths in Terrifier, including one that your boy mentioned that he thought, I believe, was in Terrifier 2, that harkens to Bone Tomahawk. So that was pretty brutal. That was pretty brutal. Even though I had seen it in Bone Tomahawk with a man,
you still don't want to see it.
Especially, I didn't want to see it with violence against women. So that was pretty brutal. One or two other scenes go a little bit too far. They love the eye stuff,
God.
Lots of eye stuff. In the end, it's kind of got a circular plot where the beginning you kind of like, what was that? And then you have to watch what happens, and it makes sense at the end. And of course, Art the Clown is somehow still alive at the end, even though
he shouldn't be.
I thought for sure he would be dead. But of course, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, that
Freddy
kind of
Krueger.
crap. Yeah. I do want to point out, and this is the only way I could get through this movie without being completely and totally disgusted, is Jenna Cannell. Oh my God, she is like the most beautiful woman in the world. Unfortunately, ends up becoming a victim to Art the Clown later on, but oh my God, she is a hot box of rocks. She kind of reminded me of Neve Campbell from Scream with the longer, dark hair.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you look her up on IMDb, and she actually shaves her head, so that was a wig. She's got really short hair, which kind of turned me off. But in this movie, wearing the skeleton outfit she's wearing, whoo! I was like, Art, don't do it. Leave her alone. Just leave her alone. Don't you dare.
Let it go, Art. Let it go, Art. Oh,
don't
Art.
you dare kill the ex-future Mrs. Kevin Crane. So again, I had a love-hate relationship with this movie. It is a brutal, bloody train wreck of a movie that somehow, in certain ways, works. And on a low budget, somehow still looks pretty good.
I'm probably going to wind up watching it, aren't I?
Probably get the boys in on it too. Yeah.
Probably. There we go.
I will give it a week to Frenzies. It is not the worst, again, most disgusting horror movie I've ever seen. It has some semblance of
Cohesion.
style, I was thinking. A little bit of style to it. A little bit of creepiness. Little bit cringe-inducing, both on the good side and the bad side. Again, I won't watch it again. I one time is enough, but I will probably end up watching the sequel whenever I can get a hold of that.
Yeah.
Again, it's I don't know what it is about us as human beings,
We're
that
drawn to the macabre.
our own mortality, visions of death. I can't explain it. I feel ashamed and disgusted with myself at times, but then every time I do, what happens? I end up going and trying to watch an Oscar-nominated art flick, and I feel
wind up
even
with
worse.
someone crapping in a
feel
bucket.
even worse after wasting my time watching Frances McDormand, yes, crapping in a bucket.
All right.
That's going to do it for the movie segment here on the weekend edition. Next week, Dave might watch Terrifier.
Potentially.
Talking about watching Old from last year with M. Night Shyamalan.
Yep. Potentially watching Nope, the both of us.
I will have a review of that for sure next week.
I will put that on my list as the must see.
And I will be reviewing at some point, not guaranteed for next week, but within the next couple of weeks, another horror movie, the big hit Smile, which just landed on Paramount Plus. So that's what you've got to look forward to in the coming few weeks here on the weekend edition when it comes to movie reviews.
All right.
But we're not done yet. We've got TV and streaming coming up, including Dave and I discussing the latest episode of Titans. So hang out for just a little bit longer with us.
Stay tuned.
Take another aspirin. We'll be right back. When the mindless zombies at the major sports networks won't leave you alone. When the forces of evil on local sports radio have you cornered. Load up the boomstick known as Sports Frenzy 2.0. Available on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Apple, Overcast, and Castbox. Kev Dave will drive the dull and boring voices in your head away and offer you the sports salvation you need. New episodes drop every Thursday. And don't forget the weekend edition every Saturday, where the maestro and the conquistador might just review your favorite horror flick. Sports Frenzy 2.0. It's groovy. All right, we have almost finished our due diligence. We have almost got you through that hangover from Friday night. We're just going to try to coax you through another 15 or 20 minutes, tell you what to watch tonight on TV and streaming, because we know you're watching the NFL on Sunday.
That's a given.
He's a conquistador, Dave Height.
He's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
Taping here on the 16th of November. This, of course, hits Saturday morning, the 19th. You got rock and roll from us. You got movie reviews from us. Now it's time for TV and streaming, as I mentioned. And now we're starting to pick things up. Now, as opposed to music, where we're getting into a dead area, new shows are starting to appear on streaming services. Of course, the networks have been in full new season mode for the last month or two. Although, who watches network TV anymore, really?
Very little. I think we watched 3 shows on network TV: NCIS, Ghost, and Young Sheldon. And I could probably do without Young Sheldon, but I kind of want to see where they're going to go with it. Ghost is still mildly entertaining.
I still watch the Goldbergs on occasion. I haven't watched the new season of Law and Order just because I'm tired of the crossover crap. Just leave the original alone. I don't want it tainted by SVU and organized crime. So for the most part, I'm going to the streaming.
Yeah, because everything else is pretty much all the reality shit. We're tired of the dancing, the singing,
the dating,
the stupid human tricks.
Yep, completely agree. I can't stand
Survivor,
that stuff.
why is that still on?
What is it, like season 57 now or something stupid
like
that?
I mean, at least go for something kind of relevant historical research. History Channel now has season 10 of Oak Island. Rick and Marty Lagina on their quest to find the legendary treasure on Oak Island, buried in the money pit. So who knows what they'll find?
Won't they find Tom Hanks and Shelley Long?
Probably. But no, it's the historical stuff, and people who came over to North America, they're finding stuff dating back pre-Christopher Columbus over here. So it's wild, some of the things that they're finding.
Of course, some of us like the world of fiction more than the world of reality. So HBO, of course, has started up season 4 of Titans. Dave and I discussed the first 2 episodes last week. Now we need to recap episode 3. Jinx.
Jinx is kind of fun.
Yeah, I like Jinx. Obviously, Dick Grayson did too.
Yes.
Man, Dick
Grayson gets around, doesn't he?
Damn, he's like Jimmy Garoppolo. He's like Pete Davidson, man. I hope that Nightwing suit can keep his manhood in there.
Keep
obviously
things in check.
Yeah.
Obviously, he can't keep it in.
Yeah, because he's Jinx, Starfire, and then previously Dove
and Barbara Gordon.
Yeah, he did not allude to a relationship with Wonder Girl
yet,
but we digress. So the mystery of Mother Mayhem and her cult deepens, and they have to recruit an old frenemy.
Yes.
Named Jinx. On the surface, a thief, but obviously has powers.
Yes, magical powers.
And of course, this whole season is revolving around magic. So we're waiting for the appearance of Brother Blood. We know he's coming in at some point.
We're waiting for Brother Blood. We're waiting for Deathstroke.
I had not heard Deathstroke is going to be in this season. So you might have information that I don't.
That's one of the rumblings that Nick is waiting for.
And he, of course, has his pulse on all of this stuff. So
yes, he does.
When I hear information from him, I usually take it as gospel. So
odds are in favor. If Nick's heard rumblings, it's probably more than likely going to take place.
So, of course, we'll keep you updated on part 1 of season 4 of Titans.
Yep, they're kind of figuring out what's going on. They're trying to. They're split up on who's investigating what and trying to stay low key.
Yeah, but of course, Doom Patrol starting up in a couple weeks. We'll have that for you as well. Again, season 4 of that.
So looking forward to that one.
Can't wait to hear Brendan Fraser dropping F-bombs left and right as Cliff Steele.
So much fun.
Never thought I would hear a character outside of a Quentin Tarantino movie dropping as many F-bombs as Brendan Fraser does. And the irony is, he could end up winning an Academy Award this year.
For his portrayal in The Whale. Yep. And he is boycotting the Golden Globes.
Yep.
Because of the history he's had with the former head of the Hollywood Foreign Press groping him and making advances on him. And he's done with it. Wants nothing to do with them. He said, I don't care if I'm nominated. If I went, I would be a hypocrite. And I'm standing by what I believe in. More power to him. I wish more people had the balls to do that.
Yeah. And that's not, in this case, this is not a publicity stunt.
No. They pretty much, that whole episode, him coming out, calling this jerk off out, almost destroyed his career.
Yeah. And just remember, kids, up until Doom Patrol, he was pretty much persona non grata. He wasn't anywhere near the limelight for years and years.
No. That, and he was dealing with some injuries that he had, too, from doing his own stunts.
Now, I have a couple shows that I have started watching, new seasons for, number one, of course, Yellowstone. Season 5 has begun. The first 2 episodes hit this past Sunday. I have to be very careful where I tread because I don't want to spoil things for Dave.
Someday I might get to it. It's not high priority.
I had to blow through the first 2 episodes because other people, other websites were trying to spoil things. So I had to do the whole, no, turn it on, watch it, shut off all computers, all phones. Again, I am ridiculously impressed with Kevin Costner and what he's doing with his career this late in the game. Cole Hauser has now become, I guess, some kind of a sex god as Rip. He is a badass. I'll say that. He is a cool dude in this show. And then, of course, Kelly Riley is smoking hot. But I will say this. She is unbelievably sexy. But she is a vile, detestable human being in this show.
Her character.
Yeah. And the thing is, she loves Rip. She knows not to fuck with Rip. So those two have a relationship separate and apart from the rest of humanity. Let's put it that way. Basically, when those two are together alone, they're fine. You put them out in society.
Forget it.
God. Oh, my God. Like a Wolverine and a jackal. Rip, you can understand to a point and still like him, even though he can be an ass bag. But, oh, my God, Kelly Riley's, oh, Jesus. She is just so nasty.
Evil
and
incarnate.
Mean. Has to be one of the most evil characters ever in a TV show.
Wow.
But she loves her daddy.
Does she?
Most of the time.
And I'm sure she hates her brother.
Which brother? There are 2 brothers.
Oh, that's right.
But now one is
the pompous ass.
Oh, she hates him. Yeah.
And then the one who tried
the livestock
agent who tries to go his own separate way.
Right. She doesn't interact with him that much. So they don't. He knows better. He knows to stay away. He tried to acclimate himself and his wife and his son onto the ranch, and it didn't work, so they're back off on their own. He knows better. He's like, I got to get away from this stuff. It's toxic.
He's the smart one.
Yeah. In the end, he is probably the smartest character on the show. Now, Taylor Sheridan, of course, kind of like Dick Wolf on NBC, how he owns NBC, has Law and Order, has all the Chicago shows. Whoever runs NCIS on CBS, Taylor Sheridan pretty much owns Paramount Network right now and Paramount Plus because, of course, we've got Yellowstone, huge success. The prequel show, 1883, was a big success. Mayor of Kingstown with Jeremy Renner was a big success. Now we get Tulsa King with my man,
Sylvester Stallone.
This is where I'm going back to the old Donald Sutherland storyline we were talking about earlier and how he hasn't even been nominated for an Academy Award and how there are so many good, popular actors out there and actresses who will never get recognized. Now, Stallone was nominated recently for Creed.
Right.
In an upset loss. He was supposed to win that Best Supporting Actor Oscar. I watched Tulsa King. I watched the first episode, and I just, number one, I marvel at the fact the guy's in his 70s.
Yeah,
he is more vital than I am, and I'm 20 years younger than him. So, number one, kids, go ahead and take steroids. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Do not take steroids, but keep yourself active.
Stallone is so good in the first episode of Tulsa King. So good. And I don't care if the critics didn't like him in the later Rocky movies or didn't like his run at comedy or didn't like his run when he was doing action movies just for the paycheck, like Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger wasn't
like
that
Daylight,
bad.
you know. The man has had enough.
Should have gotten more consideration for Oscar.
One of the most underrated comedies of all time.
It was brilliant.
Farce, old school farce, beyond belief, brilliant. And he is fantastic in Tulsa King so far. Love Tulsa King, what I've seen in the first episode. Highly recommended on Paramount Plus. If you have that, I will definitely be checking it out each and every Sunday night.
All right, there you go. And then finally, have gotten around to the pilot episode of The Winchesters on the CW. Jensen Ackles' attempt at a prequel to Supernatural, introducing his parents. I don't know. It's the CW downed version of Supernatural. It's not the dark, gritty that you would have hoped to have gotten. It's the PC light version. And the way it goes kind of goes against the original story of the family. So, I don't know. I got some issues.
You sound pretty much like me after I watched the first episode. I felt the same way. And again, the CW, I think they're going to crash and burn real soon.
Yeah, if they could have done the Winchesters on the dark end as Supernatural had been, then I think it could have been so much better. But they're playing the PC game on it. And I don't know how well it's going to work.
Yep, I agree completely. And again, you could say that about the entire CW. We go back.
I'm surprised they let Supernatural go as long as they did.
Yeah, we go back 7 or 8 years back when the CW actually had some good stuff on it with the peak years of Supernatural and Arrow and the beginnings of The Flash.
And then you could see where it made the turn.
The snowflakes took over. And now it is a disaster. And I'll have more about that later. Couple notes before we move on to Moments of Silence. Pretty much bad news. We talked about Resident Alien. Sci-fi already seeming like they're bailing on it. Season
We're not
3.
gonna get 3.
We're getting 3, but season 3 has been cut down from 12 episodes to 8.
Oh God! So that sounds like they're gonna wrap it up.
They promised 12 initially on the renewal for season 3, but now they have backtracked and said they're only going to go forward with 8. And we've talked about this. I am tired of the seasons getting shorter and shorter and shorter.
It's ridiculous.
In the old days, it was 22, 23, 24 episodes. Then it got cut to 13. Now we're dealing with 8-episode seasons.
Ridiculous. Don't like it.
Then, of course, Dave and I are one of the few people out there, I guess, who don't have Hulu, because I really don't see much about Hulu that I want to watch. But
I got better things to spend my money on.
We've been waiting for a long, long time for a new Broken Lizard movie.
And it's going to be...
It's called Quasi. It is their take on the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Oh, God. Oh.
And yes, it is only going to be on Hulu April the 20th of 2023. Get a free trial.
Get a free trial to watch that.
Come on. Beer
It's
Fest.
Broken Lizard.
Beer Fest.
Slammin' Salmon. Super Troopers.
1 and 2. Club Dread.
Club Dread. Tacoma FD.
Yep. Well, at least we still have that.
Yep.
They haven't taken that away from us yet. All right, time to move on to Moments of Silence. Unfortunately, a lot
There's
in
a
the
lot.
world of entertainment. I'm going to start off with a comedian who I loved growing up. Had one of the greatest ideas of all time. Number one, he was known, of course, it's Gallagher.
Yep.
Passed away, known for smashing watermelons
with the Sledge-O-Matic.
But one of his routines, he talked about everybody having a car that had a little gun on the front of it that shot flags with those suckers on the end of them that would stick to other cars. So if you were dealing with an asshole driver, you could shoot the flag and it would stick to the other car, and you stayed away
from the
cars that had all the flags on them. If they had a crap ton of flags on them, you knew who was a bad driver. And I thought, simple, brilliant.
Yep.
I wish to this day we had that.
He was the inspiration for Carrot Top. Carrot Top, with all his goofy things that he came up with, is because of Gallagher. Gallagher is the first one coming out riding the giant big wheel. He had the giant rocking chair. He was the true inventor of that stuff.
Yes, thoughts and prayers to Gallagher and his family and friends. A true legend of comedy that will be missed.
Yep. I got to do this one for my youngest, Nick, who loves the animated Batman stuff. The voice of Batman, Kevin Conroy, has passed away. Did all the animated Batman voices, did the voices for Batman in the Arkham video games. Thoughts and prayers to his family and friends.
Yeah, that original Batman animated series back in the 90s, stellar.
Yeah.
Next to the 60s Spider-Man, probably the greatest animated superhero show ever. Murhan Karimi Nasseri. Who, Kev? If you've ever seen the great, underrated Tom Hanks movie, The Terminal, it was based on the life of Murhan Karimi Nassiri, who passed away supposedly at 80. Nobody knew for sure.
Right.
Who was back to living at Charles de Gaulle Airport in France. Very odd, very interesting, obviously, life. We send out our thoughts and prayers to him and his family.
Yep. John Aniston. Great actor longtime actor on Days of Our Lives, and father of the lovely Jennifer Aniston.
God bless you for giving us one of the most beautiful women of all time. John Aniston, I love you. I will miss you. You had magic sperm. She's still gorgeous. She still grinds my gears, and I love you up there in heaven. Because God knows you'd have to be up there. You have to be up there
to have created an angel down here.
There you go.
Thoughts and prayers to the Aniston family.
Especially Jennifer. She needs consoling. I'm here. Keith Levine, co-founder of The Clash. There's an interesting music trivia tidbit you can drop on people, because I had no idea.
That he also co-founded Public Image Limited?
Well, that I didn't care about Public Image Limited, but I would never have thought that he was a co-founder of The Clash. You think Joe Strummer?
Yeah.
You know?
But
Mick Jones, right? I think that's the other one who did Big Audio Dynamite later on.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Keith Levine, Clash co-founder, passes away.
Thoughts and prayers to their family and friends. All right. This one. Corporal Louise Lebeau from Hogan's Heroes. French actor, Holocaust survivor Robert Clary passed away at 96. Probably, I think, the last of the Hogan's Heroes cast. Thoughts and prayers to his family and friends.
Yeah, why didn't Kyrie Irving talk to him?
Yeah, no kidding.
You know? Yeah, because it was all fake, right?
Yeah, tell that to the people who lived through it.
Are we ready to pivot? Pivoting to a couple quick dumbasses here to wrap up the weekend edition. I mentioned earlier, I'm late to the game on this one. We were talking about the Winchesters and talking about the namby-pamby CW and how it should just go quietly into that good night and die a ugly, nasty death.
Melt like the snowflakes they are.
Now, we gave up on the network for the most part a long time ago. We stopped watching Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, all the DC stuff had gone way too far. We didn't even think about checking out Stargirl.
No.
I found something about Stargirl. It's been on the air for a couple years, so I'm really late to the party on this. One of my favorite old school characters in the DC universe, I mean, we're going back decades and decades and decades, was Wildcat.
Oh, God.
Former boxer turned superhero. Wildcat was in comic books with Batman, teaming up with Batman, Brave and the Bold. Cool as hell. Didn't have any superpowers, was just a mean, tough dude in a cool costume that made him look like a wildcat. I did not realize Stargirl had brought back Wildcat as a young woman.
What?
Yes. The brawling brute that I grew up with in DC Comics, believe his name was Ted Lang, possibly. now a young woman in Stargirl.
Why do they keep screwing everything up?
That was untapped potential for a great character that, once again, they have fucked up. Because they have to be PC. And that's why the CW will die a nasty, ugly death, because they deserve to. Because you got to stop fucking with the characters that many of us grew up with and changing them, changing their race, changing their gender, changing their sexuality. Stop it! Come up with new characters. That's the solution. Come up with new characters. Don't bastardize the old ones. Remember Dwight on The Office?
Yeah, Rainn Wilson.
That's not his name anymore.
I know, the dumbass is changing it to fight climate change.
Rainfall, heat wave, extreme winter Wilson is now his new name.
Dumbass.
What a shame. I like the guy in so much stuff that he's done. And to pull a stunt like this is like Ron Artest changing his name to Meta World Peace.
Yeah.
Just stop it. Stop the cries for attention. And you're not helping anybody or any cause. All you're doing is, I'm in a down period in my career.
So
I better
have
do something.
To do something to bring attention back to me. It's a cry for help.
Agreed. Finally, travesty that is known as the New York Post.
Is it still around?
Yeah, there are some newspapers still around. But of course, journalism, we all know, has disappeared. I don't care what you think or what you feel about Donald Trump. Okay? I personally don't want him to run for president again. I want Ron DeSantis. I want somebody who can beat the senile dipshit that's in the office right now. But for the New York Post last night with Trump announcing that he is going to run for president, relegating the announcement to page 26, the headline says, Florida man makes announcement. That's not journalism.
Ridiculous.
That's petty bullshit. That is not journalism. That is not reporting.
No, that's censorship.
That's something I would expect from Mad Magazine.
Yeah.
Not the New York Post. If this is what it's come to,
then they need to go away. Be done.
There should be some kind of a guild or a union or something that can revoke their credentials for not being journalists anymore, for not being
Stop
a
being
newspaper.
Opinionated asshats. All right, that's the weekend edition. He's Kev.
He's Dave.
We'll see you next week.